You can lay down on the couch.
Oh, wow. Yes. Thank you. Hey, guys. How you doing?
All right, Chandler, so I know I was talking to you a little bit. I always start this off with all of our guests. Is this your first time in Corpus Christi?
This is my first time in Corpus Christi. Yeah.
How do you feel about
that? Yeah, I've been to like every other major city in Texas except Corpus Christi, so it's been great so far.
You know, we're not super high major, but we're definitely making some strides. And you know, the Corpus Christi Comic Con has grown every single year, and every time I see the guest list, I get more and more excited. Having you on the guest list this year made me very excited. Are you guys excited to see Chandler? So, yeah, so it's definitely been a journey, and I'm so glad to be here to interview you and talk with you a little bit. And somebody asked about the Dr. Pepper shake yesterday. I don't know if you had that.
Oh, I haven't.
It was a Dr. Pepper shake. So
okay, I'll try next time. Yeah.
Sounds good. And I know it's super hot in South Texas, but we do have a nice Gulf breeze going on, so I hope you're staying cool.
You know, it's not too bad. I'm from Georgia, and Georgia heat is pretty brutal. And I live in LA now, which is in a desert. So, you know, it's coming here is actually not that bad. Got the nice breeze going.
From Georgia?
Yeah, from Georgia.
So that's kind of, okay, interesting. That's Atlanta?
Yeah, like the suburbs of Atlanta, but yeah, I grew up there. I was a local hire for like a bunch of the stuff that I did in Georgia, so yeah, works out pretty well.
I heard you started acting at the ripe old age of 4 years old, is that right?
Yes, yeah. I started with some community theater and just doing like some small things here and there. At my local church, there was some play that they were doing. And then I went on to do The Wizard of Oz at the big theater in Atlanta. I was a Munchkin and an Aussie, and yes, I think I was like the smallest Munchkin on the cast that they had.
Is that when you were 4? Or is that
I was 6 then, so I'd done some other community theater stuff then. But yeah, then I did Oklahoma, and I went on to do some other like commercials, things like that. And it was great.
Well, definitely Munchkin no more. I think people, you know, we've seen you in a certain light in certain things, and you know, kind of had this like Chandler race perception. And then when I saw you at your booth, I was like, oh my gosh, like you're 24 now?
24? Yeah, just 24.
All right. Well, definitely grown up before, very nice. And it's been a pleasure watching you grow up on different mediums, on things that I kind of say talk about. But let's talk about a little bit more about, I know you mentioned kind of like your inspiration as a young actor. What inspired you? Who actors and actresses inspired you? And what inspired you to kind of get into acting?
Oh man, well well when I was 4, my parents, or my mom always loved theater, loved musicals. She runs a theater company now, but my parents were doing Guys and Dolls at the local community theater. Yeah, and we couldn't really afford a babysitter at the time, so they would just bring me and my brother to rehearsals. And I always wanted to be up on stage with them. I just wanted to be just up there and everything. And the next show that they were doing at that theater was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And the director for it wanted my dad to be in the band that they had. And he was like, I'll do it if you put my kid in the show. And so they figured out a way to like put me in the show. And yeah, from there I was like, I remember, this is like a core memory for me. I remember just like sitting in the car, I can't remember where we were driving, I think I was like 4 or 5. And I was like, Mom, Dad, I can just see myself on the red carpet one day. And I remember they like looked at each other and they were like, ooh. Like, that's cool, Chandler, that's really cool. So what about school? So you like the school? Yeah.
Set the bar lower.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully you kept that mindset, and I'm sure they supported you along the way, given that you had a lot of success in that department. And thankfully, because then we wouldn't necessarily be sitting here today. So we're super excited and stoked that you're here. I also am aware that you were in, and this I can speak about. You were in an indie horror film called Jesus H. Zombie, of all things. Talk to us about what the premise of that was, how that was a thing, and how old were you, and what part of your time, what year did that happen?
Yeah, I was 6. I think that was actually my first time like on a film set, or like on a, something that wasn't theater related. And to be honest, I barely remember most of it. But yeah, they had me like holding like a toy gun and like like pretending to like shoot cannons or something, and it was really not good. The scene is on YouTube somewhere. Please don't watch it.
Please watch it. I've seen a little bit.
It's not great. It's yeah.
What role did you play?
I can't even remember. It was like some weird name that my character had, but yeah, it was like some indie film or a student film.
How old were you?
I was 6.
Yeah. Talk about a little foreshadowing.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, I did get eaten. Yeah. Yeah. So, yep.
Well, I do feel like sometimes the planets kind of align and the universe speaks to you. And when I found that out doing research, I was like, what are the odds that you have done? That was your first movie experience too, like on-set experience. And then we all know what came later. So I just thought that was just wild, but very interesting. So you also have a production company, an indie film production company, which again, absolutely can talk about. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I, about a year ago, my roommate and I, he's great with cameras and lights and everything, and just from me having spent like, I did the math recently, and I was like, I have over 10,000 hours that I've spent on set growing up, which is just insane. But luckily, I just know just how to get things done, how to keep us on schedule, and how to like get us moving through the day. And his kind of expertise with color and lights and cameras and everything, we kind of joined forces and started a production company. And we shot a short film last year that's running through the film festival circuit right now, and we won an award, and then we were in semifinals for another award. So yeah, it's kind of picking up steam, which is crazy to think that that it's decent enough that people actually like it or care about it. So
well, I love that this is a new kind of maybe a new part of your life, next chapter of your life, in doing things that are maybe a little bit more behind the scenes. And
yeah.
So is that kind of where you want to take things? I mean, I'm sure you're still wanting to act, acting is a very huge part of your life, but is that kind of like the next step, is what you're looking towards doing?
Yeah, well, I love just like having a really holistic view and everything of stories and storytelling and how to tell stories, how to tell them well. And it's I've just been learning so much about how to do that. And actually, what really kind of sparked it a few years ago was D&D. I don't know if any of you guys play Dungeons and Dragons.
I do.
Yeah. And so
I should have brought a D20. I usually come up with some theme things to put on the table. They're usually themes of stuff that they've done. I couldn't do that this time, but I should have brought some D&D stuff. That would be cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so just playing D&D, I have this whole D&D thing in VR actually that I run. We have like 160 players, and there's like 20 DMs on staff. It's crazy. Yeah, it's insane. But I have that. I have like a game that I run with some of my IRL friends, and a game that I'm a player on the internet. So it's I just loved like telling stories in that way, and I just like got the fire for it and just wanted to keep doing it. And yeah, just kind of one thing led to another. Started just writing kind of my own stuff for film and television and whatnot, and then yeah, so on and so forth. But
so what kind of stories do you really want to tell? Like, what's your genre that you feel like is speaks to you?
I love just like intense, stressful stuff. I don't know why, like Breaking Bad and like Ozark and like those just shows that like
cringe, but it's so good. Like, why do I like sitting in these uncomfortable situations?
Yeah. Just those shows that like at the end of every episode you're like, how the hell are they going to get out of this? I love that for some reason. Just like seeing how they're going to get out of that and get in like what more just nonsense they're gonna get stuck in. So, but I love stories like that. I love just that, that if a story can really pull you in and grip you like that, I love it.
So, do you have a project in particular that you've done that you can talk about? Like you mentioned some of it in the film circuit, in the indie film circuit. Like, give us a premise of one that we should watch.
Yeah, well, so the one we shot last year, it's actually it's kind of a 180. It was written by one of my great friends. So I started in this acting class like 6 years ago, and I've gotten to be great friends with a lot of the guys. The writer for this short we did last year is even Jason Dolly. He was on a bunch of Disney shows, and yeah, he's just great, super talented. But that short film is just a first date, just at a bar, and it's not anything like super crazy. This next one that we're doing is going to be like this like brunch murder party where this girl just like snaps one day and decides to just like kill all of it. It's great. It sounds kind of weird, but it's
no, it sounds like something that could happen in my life.
God, I hope not.
I love brunch, and I have some crazy friends that do it. So that sounds interesting. That sounds very unique. Like I would totally want something like that. Like that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, but yeah, I just love just telling stories in general. I love it.
Storytelling. I mean, that's just like the name of the game. I feel like most people that are here at these cons, especially that have created a lot of this material and these things that we love, are storytellers. You're a storyteller. I mean, that's just what they do at the heart of things, is telling us stories that we love and that we make connections with. So let's talk about your experience with Comic-Cons. I'm sure you've done the circuit for quite a bit now. What is it like having that interaction with fans that are so connected to you and are so passionate, sometimes to the point, I'm one of them. I mean, I'm just definitely not, saying it negatively, but we get crazy sometimes. I mean, we're so connected and attached to these characters and these stories. But it's because we love them so much, we love you so much. So what has that been like, doing the Comic-Con circuit? What is like maybe a really good experience you've had with a fan that's come up to you? Tell us a little bit about that. And I've actually asked this with each of our guests, and they've all had just really great, experiences. Judith even said something to the effect of like, it's not even about me, it's about you reflected in me, and I see that, and it means so much to her to have, those crowd interactions. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing conventions since 2010, going to them like at least once a month for the last, however many years. So I've been to hundreds of these by now, and it's just so like, oh man, you guys come to me and you guys tell me stories about how the stories that I was a part of or the characters that I've played have like, they've really resonated with you somehow. Either it's helped you through some sort of time in your life, or it's just affected you emotionally. Like the whole reason I'm an actor, like do what I do, is to just get you guys to just feel something. To get you to connect with my work in some way, and to pull you out of whatever else is going on in your life, and just get you ensconced in something that's totally fantastical and gets you just out of your seat, just in what's happening in front of you. So I love it when you guys come and you guys tell me about how much my characters the characters have changed your life in some way. It is the coolest thing ever. I get people telling me that it helped them get through chemotherapy when they had cancer. It's like stuff like that. It's like you just can't. It just makes it all worth it. It reminds me of like the countless hours that I spend, prepping a character or whatever, and just being like, man, I feel like this character sucks, and then go on and like people just really resonate with it. So it's really amazing. And that's why I come to these conventions. That's why I'm an actor at all. So thank you guys for caring about something.
Well, I mean, we're our own person as harshest critic, for sure, because I can see, I have a hard time watching myself like this. I'll never watch this. But I think definitely you're your own worst critic, because you're acting, I think I can definitely say this, I mean, you're acting at that age, which seeing your background, really getting like deep diving your past and the research I did, now it makes so much sense, because your character was so good. I mean, like the acting you did was incredible, and when you see a young actor be able to tap into the emotions and depth and complicated facets of a character like that is super impressive. I mean, you kind of expect that from adult actors. When you see a young actor do that, be able to move you and make you cry and make you feel things in such a real way was super impressive to see that from you. So I'm definitely incredible. Right, guys?
Thank you. And the interesting thing on that actually is I found that I've gotten older. It was for some reason it was so much easier when I was a kid. When I was younger, like tapping into that the highly emotional stuff, it was like way easier to just flip on the switch and just get there when I was younger. Yeah. But as I've gotten older, it's like I don't know, it's a completely different experience being an adult on set now versus being a kid on playing characters.
So that's just going to maybe due to just, you know, saturating that for so long, or they're having to do that for so long?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if it's just because everyone around me is like just so good and like so great at what they do. I'm like, damn, I need to step up.
So are you. Come on, like, you know. So I mean, I know you have a huge career still ahead of you, and we can't wait to see everything that comes from that and the things you've already been doing. Again, I wish you could speak on, but you know, there's been a lot that's come post what we first saw him collectively on that he's been involved with, and I can't really wait to see like what stems from that. And also your behind the scenes work, I think, is really cool. He also, by the way, guys, I don't know if you're aware, so while he's an actor and a producer and a writer and all these other things that he's doing, and apparently a D&D player, which we have to talk about that now because I can go with that super cool. I do that as well. You're also a DJ?
Yeah. I started producing music about 8 years ago, and and when I was in high school, I would just like, whenever there'd be like house parties or something, I'd always bring like my big like DJ gear and stuff, and like always, you know, play for the party. And I went on for a few years I was playing shows and putting out music, and then COVID hit, so no more shows, and I haven't really picked it back up as much since. But all of the skills that I've learned from producing music and everything I now use for all of the sound engineering for my production company. So when we shoot something, we're editing it, my roommate's doing color grading, and I'm doing all the sound engineering. So I'm doing the music, I'm, you know, filtering out all of the background audio from the microphones on the characters, I'm adding, you know, specific amounts of reverb, choosing the music, choosing, you know, all the different like sound design aspects of it.
There's so much. A lot that goes into that, guys.
Yeah.
And seriously, I was thinking, he goes by DJ Eclipse, and he did one of the singles we have is called "Hold Up." You guys should look all that up. But I have a friend of mine who's into EDM, and you know, there's a misconception, I think, that somebody's up there just like pressing buttons and like moving little dials. And I got to watch him work one time, and I was like, whoa, like this is like intense. Like there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of thought, a lot of, you know, a lot of things you have to do. It's all, obviously you do a lot of the prep before you do, you know, you're there live doing and pushing that. But people are like, oh, well, look, he's just pressing buttons. It's like, you don't see the hours and hours and hours of like producing that, you know, and what they pull from the samples and this and that, like you said, reverb and everything. It is a lot of work, y'all. So that's huge. Like it's crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah, DJing is pretty wild. I remember there's so much that goes into it. There's so much about reading the crowd and seeing how, you know, what song you're playing, how they're liking that, and like if, you know, if they go, okay, they like this, and they probably won't like what I had next up, so I got to switch out what I had planned. It's all like just very on the fly and very like it's not easy, and it's completely like not what I thought it was going into it. Yeah.
Are you gonna keep pursuing that, and is that something that are you booking shows and things like that?
Yeah, I'm not booking shows right now. I always kind of, my end goal for producing music was to score things, was to score like, you know, things, which I'm kind of doing right now. But I mean, my end goal is to like, you know, like write and direct and score a video game. That's like my dream. So that's kind of where it's at.
Very cool. It's just like a renaissance man up here. Jack of all trades. I love it. Well, I'm gonna probably move down there here in a second. You guys be thinking of things to ask. But again, if you have questions that maybe are not related to what I know we're all thinking is like the elephant in the room. I get it. Feel free to ask this question. We're encouraging that. But if you decide to ask those, but don't feel like you can't say what you want to say. Ask it. It's up to him whether or not how he can answer it. He may just be able to answer it plainly and simply, not a big deal. But he may just change his verbiage a little bit. So just know that that may be the case, or he may not be able to answer it at all. So just be clear of that. But I have one question that I guess is probably the most annoying question that you've probably gotten a million times, but because I'm able to ask it, I'm going to ask it. Do you like chocolate pudding? Is that your thing?
There it is. I knew it was coming.
I knew it was
coming.
And I can do that question too.
Yeah. You know, I get that question so many times. The thing was, that scene is 10 years ago as of next week. So like, it's akin to me, you know, you're eating chocolate pudding for lunch one day 10 years ago, and then people ask you about it forever. That's kind of how it is. Yeah. So that being said, chocolate pudding has been forever changed for me, and I will never see it the same way, and I will never stop receiving it from all of you. I've just accepted that it's a part of my life.
Do you eat it ever now?
No, I mean, it's okay.
Either.
I mean, like, do you guys love chocolate pudding? Does anyone go out of their way to like, you know, we have one. There's one clap. All right.
Snack
you see
pack
what I mean?
It's like if the snack pack is there, I'll eat it, but I don't go out of my way to buy it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I get it. And I know you've been asked a million times, and honestly, if I was doing the panel how I would normally do it, I would not have asked that. But I was like, God, what can I possibly, I know, I'll ask him about chocolate pudding. Like, why not? I'll just get that out of the way also, so that, don't ask that now, we're done. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take it down here. I was gonna try to I don't think I'm gonna make the jump, guys. I think I'm gonna just go down this way, so I'm gonna disappear for 1 second, but you guys go ahead and raise your hands, and I will go ahead and just, I'll try to cover as much of the room as I can, okay? So, get your questions ready. I want to see a hand raised by the time I see you over there.
Is everyone here mostly has finished with the show? Yes? Okay. I'm sure we're getting into spoiler territory.
All right, we'll start with right here in the front. What's your name, sir?
Sadie.
All right, what's your question?
I just wanted to say we're the exact same age, so it's been cool to see you on TV. Ever since I was a kid too, I watched the show since the premiere. My question was, are you ever going to make YouTube videos again?
Oh man, well I did for a while. I was streaming and I had one of my moderators like editing some YouTube videos for me. I might get back into streaming one day. It's not really on, you know, it's not really like my focus right now. I mean, running a production company is kind of, it's pretty time consuming.
It'd be cool to see those 100 people D&D VR things on YouTube for sure.
Yeah. I would love to see that too. I wanted to talk to you more about D&D actually. What's your favorite D&D character makeup? Like are you a barbarian? Do you have rogue?
I'm a warlock right now in one of my campaigns.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, there's so much that you can do with a warlock of like this, you know, like a dark past with the deity and everything. Like it's so cool. But
where do you align yourself? What's your alignment?
Oh man, I think he's like chaotic, neutral.
That's like, my favorite alignment.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. But D&D is so much fun. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm Nate. Yeah, I know you were on a pretty intense show when you were like real young. Were there any moments where you were like kind of freaked out or scared? Because like it was intense.
Yeah, not really. I mean, when you're on set and you see, you know, like if you were on a show and if you know they saw a bunch of like zombie makeup for some reason, then you know it's you see it all done right in front of you. It's like the person behind the makeup is totally normal, you know. When as soon as they say cut, like they just go and like they smoke a cigarette. You know? Yeah, they're like, hey, what's up, man? It's like, oh, hey, I'm Ethan. Nice to meet you. It's like, hey, Ethan. Sorry, I just pretended to smash you in the head. So it's you know they're all normal people. They're all like you know there for the same reason that you are, which is to just make something cool. So it's it was never all that scary. Plus, I loved zombie video games growing up. I loved like all the COD zombies and everything, and Left 4 Dead and all that stuff. So it was a dream come true for me when I was young.
My name's Tony. You spoke about video games a bit earlier. I was just wondering, like, what kind of video games do you really like, and what would you like to create later on if you could have your own game produced by you and everything?
Oh man, well I loved The Last of Us. Like the first one is like my favorite game ever. I played through seven times, and my girlfriend I watched her play through like the part 2 again, and it's just so good. But I also just finished God of War, the like one that came out years ago, not Ragnarok, but the other remake, and like that's such an underrated game, by the way. If you guys haven't like gone out and played God of War, like oh my god, like it's on par with The Last of Us on just like how good it is, like the acting and like the directing. It's all one shot. The whole game is like one continuous shot. It's so well done. Sorry. But I just love those kind of games, those story-driven, like just good games that just get you know. But I also love shooters. I love Hunt Showdown is like my favorite shooter ever. I'll begrudgingly hop on CS:GO. I'll begrudgingly hop on League of Legends whenever my friends drag me into it. So yeah, I try to play as much as I can.
My name's Loren. Thank you, Nick. I had a question. So a very cool, certain gun-toting individual, you know, rides somewhere very.
You guys are actually okay to say it. I can't. He maybe can, but go ahead.
Yeah, you guys are fine. I just can't say
You guys can say whatever you want. It's fine.
Andrew Lincoln. What is he like?
He's awesome. He's just genuinely one of the like most hardworking people I have ever met in my life. Like that guy, he would show up to set knowing like he would know everyone else's lines. And he would know like the stage direction down to like the individual word. Like it was insane. I never ever saw him with sides. So when you come to set, usually they'll hand you sides, which is just like the script for the day of like what you're shooting, the scenes. And I never once saw him with a script in hand, like ever. And it was just crazy how much time and effort you have to put in like before showing up to set to do that. And the dude would work like 14, 16 hours a day. It's just crazy to think of like just how much love he put into that character, and it totally shows, as all of you guys know. He's an awesome guy.
What's your name?
My name is Megan. Was there ever another career you wanted to pursue other than acting?
Was there another career, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a time where I was
Like
going...
a mailman or something?
A mailman? There was a time where I was going to go to college, and I was going to study sociology. Not really sure what my career path from there would have been. I didn't really think it through all that much. I just love psychology. I love sociology, and wanted to learn more about it. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't end up going to school, because I would have been like $60,000 that with a degree I couldn't use. But yeah, I really don't know. Both my parents were teachers, and when I was in high school for a little while, I was thinking like that I might want to be a teacher at some point. Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I am actually going through some training to be an acting coach right now. I've been at this one studio for years and years, and I know the coach like super well. I know the system that we do like inside and out, and starting either end of this year or next year, we're going to be doing some teachers stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
That's cool. All right, we got another question? Oh, I think I see.
Hi, my name is Joshua, and I was wanting to ask, what are some funny behind-the-scene moments that you've had on The Walking Dead?
Oh man, trying to think. There was, it wasn't quite like. I mean, there were a couple of other actors on the show that pulled pranks on each other a good amount, but I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. Yeah. Luckily, I was not a part of those pranks. There was actually one time where I think I was like 12 or something. It was pretty like early on, and one of the actors, John Bernthal, for some reason has a very irrational fear of crickets. And oh man, so one day I get to set, and I think it was Norman Reedus who had filmed his trailer with crickets. He had went to a bait tackle store or something, and just got a huge bucket of crickets and just let them loose in his trailer. And I remember just being in hair and makeup and just hearing John scream like from inside of the trailer. It was the most girly scream you could ever imagine, coming out of this huge burly guy. And yeah, he refused to get changed into his wardrobe for the day. They had to like come, he didn't change in someone else's trailer. He would not go in. It took the poor cleaning guys, it took him like 2 days to get all the crickets out of his trailer afterwards. But yeah, there was, yeah, it was a pretty dark, like, you know, subject matter that we were dealing with, so we had to kind of lighten it up in some way.
That's great. And that would pretty good too, so I get it. Okay, we got another question right here. What's your name?
My name's Johanna, and I had a quick question. What is your favorite thing about Texas?
Favorite thing about Texas? Oh man. Well, you know, I spent about a month in Austin a couple of years ago, yeah, and I was shadowing a director, and man, I just loved, like, it had such a fun energy. Like, everyone was just, I feel like a great way to describe it is like they were just unapologetically themselves, you know, just didn't care.
Hence the keep Austin weird moniker.
Exactly, yeah, and I loved it. So, yeah, I just love that it's just, especially coming from LA, where it's like everyone's always trying to, like, you know, it's, a lot of the people there are really just trying to push their own career, and so it's just a lot of fake and everything, so very refreshing to, like, come to Texas and deal with just genuine, real people.
Yesterday we had Sean Astin, and Sean Astin said, do you guys know what your motto is, like what your state official motto is? And I didn't even know, and he said, friendship. And I was like, what? Which, you know, Texas has its, we have our good and bad, we have our pros and cons here, but it's definitely, I would say, a very friendly state, and we do embrace people. We are very, you know, we like to, so when you get into a place, especially like Austin, where they're also very open and unapologetically themselves, they also, when they bump into you, will say, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, it's also very nice. I mean, people are very genuinely nice, I think, in Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, right, guys, we're nice. We're sweet. You have a question over here?
Naomi, I kind of have two questions right now. So, out of The Walking Dead, what was your favorite season, and who was your favorite character?
Yeah, I can't get into like specifics on the show.
Can we ask you what your favorite comic character from the?
Yes.
I think we were able to do that.
Yeah, my favorite comic character, Michonne, for sure.
So the graphic novel we can talk about, like, because like even with Sean yesterday, we talked about the Tolkien books, so we were able to do that. So okay, that's good. Good answer on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna move to this side. I feel like I'm coming here a little bit. I'm gonna go to this side. I'm gonna go into the middle section a little bit. You might have a question.
I'm Jennifer. Since you started working at such a young age, how do you think your experiences compare to those of your same age peers?
I mean, the thing is it's my time that I because I've just had a ton of time on set. It's more just like I have just a good awareness of just how long we're going to be there that day. I did an independent film I did back in February, and it was a rom-com actually, so quite a 180 from everything else that I've done. But yeah, I remember just like we would get the schedule for the day, and our AD, who makes our assistant director who makes the schedules. There were times when I've gone up to him and I'm like, hey man, there's no way we're getting through all this today, right? He would have to be like, no, I think we're fine. And I'm like, all right. And then, you know, we're rolling up on hour 12, and I'm like, so Steven, you know, it's looking like we're not gonna get through all of it. So it's more of just like just having a good awareness of just how things are run, how efficiently things go on set, and I mean, at the end of the day, everyone is they know their job, they know what they're there to do, and they're all pretty decently good at their jobs. So just because I've had, you know, more time on set, more time acting, it doesn't, I wouldn't say it puts me ahead of any curve, you know. I mean, someone who just started acting, you know, a couple weeks ago could be just as good as someone who's been working for 20 years. So it's all kind of, yeah, it's No, it's a lot less about like how long you've been doing it. Yeah, it's a very weird craft. It's a very like weird thing, but it's how it works.
All right, we got a question right here. What's your name?
It's Patrick. What was your favorite comic volume?
My favorite comic what?
From the Walking Dead, like volume.
Oh, my favorite comic volume. Well, I read them in the individual comics, so I don't remember how they're broken up in the volumes. But I really, really loved just the whole prison arc in the comics is so well done. It's so good. How many comic readers do we have here? That's a good amount, actually.
Okay, so for Comic-Con, this is the thing, right? Like, people are like, well, it's not even about comic books anymore. But the source material for a lot of the pop culture stuff we do does come from comics. But I love to see that we have some comic book readers here, and I believe you are as well, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I got the audition, I started reading the comics like right away, and I probably should not have been allowed to read the comics. I was 10, so but yeah, I love the comics. I read them all the way through till the end. I remember I was reading the last one, and I was sitting at an airport, and I was flipping through it, and it's like there's a huge time jump, and then it just ends for the thing that happened in the comics. I remember for the huge time jump, there's like so much some new characters and a lot of old characters and they're talking about new places. I'm like, oh, there's so much new lore to explore. I'm so excited. And then the end. And I remember I was just sitting there reading through like the big letter that Robert Kirkman had posted, and I'm just like crying at the airport because I had started reading comics when I was 10. So yeah, they're so well done. If you guys haven't read them, I really highly recommend it because they're great.
We got a question right here. What's your name?
My name is EJ. My question is, I know the comics and the series both have different varied endings, and especially for Carl. But which one did you prefer?
Which ending did I prefer between the?
Yes, Carl.
For the character. Well, I mean, in the comics he lives until the end, so I would prefer that one, you know. But I can't go into specifics. But I'm happy with what ended up happening with the character. You know, it was a very honorable exit, and we did everything we could to just make it as long-lasting as possible. You know, I mean, the character was relevant to other characters for quite some time after his death. So I can't ask for much more than that.
All right, we have time for one or two more questions right here.
Hi, my name is Diana, and on the set of The Walking Dead, who tends to break out of character?
Who is the what out of character? I'm so sorry.
Breaks out of character and makes the other crew improv, makes them laugh and it's a hard time to get back into it. Yeah,
well, so most of the time, the thing is with television, scripts are very, very locked in. Like, if you put in an extra word or you change, if you don't say exactly what's on the page, the script supervisor, her name was Amy Lacey, and she was always like, it was a running joke among the cast, like, oh, here comes Amy, who messed it up this time, and because if it's not every exact word, then we can't move on to the next setup. So and for a big, for actually the entirety the majority of a show that I was previously on, we shot on film, which means that every take is very, very expensive. So if you mess up something, then it's like, you better get it right next time because you're costing them a lot of money. So that on top of not being able to move outside the script all that much, no one really could do a lot of improv. But that's how it is on most TV shows. I was on another TV show for a little while, and it was the same thing. wasn't shot on film, but yeah, it was like very, very tightly knit of what you can and can't say. Yeah.
All right, guys, we are going to wrap things up right now. We're short on time, but I have had a great time speaking with Chandler. Have you guys had a good time having this conversation? You have a lot more free range than some of others that are like, work here. So if you want to talk with Chandler more on a one-on-one basis, he's going to be doing autographs the rest of today. Is that right?
Yeah.
Autographs. He'll be at his booth. So I highly encourage you to go purchase an autograph and go speak with him. He's such a nice guy. I have had the greatest time meeting with you. Like genuinely cool, and just like a cool dude. Like you just into all the stuff that I think a lot of us are into as like Comic-Con nerds. So I love that. Like I love that you do D&D. I love that you're into video games. I love that you're doing all the projects you do and that you do music. So it's been an absolute pleasure having this conversation, getting to know you better, Chandler. Y'all give it up one more time for Chandler.
Thank you so much. It was a great talking to you.